The Potosina National Fair is an annual event held in San Luis
This shit about to
Potosi,
be scary,
Mexico.
yo. For
It's
real,
one
for
of
real.
the region's largest
I hope
cultural
so.
and trade events, with roots dating back to the 1960s, featuring concerts, livestock expos, and rides, receiving millions of visitors each year. What many of these visitors don't realize, however, is that one of the most disturbing pieces of footage on the Hispanic internet was filmed at this very event. In 2008, during one of the fair's openings, a man began recording his
Oh,
family on
I
a
seen this
Ferris
one.
ship ride. At first, everything seemed normal, but
This was
what
hella
he
old.
captured instead would leave millions confused.
If you gotta be the boss, gonna pay off. Hey, let me know if you guys go on rides. Cause I don't go on rides, bro. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll go to the fairs and whatnot, but I won't go on no rides and shit. You can meet me at the basketball little fucking pop shop, whatever you call it.
At first glance, nothing seems out of place, but if you look closely, the woman sitting furthest down appears only for a moment, and then suddenly, she's gone. No
Yeah, that's
movements,
just
no
crazy, bro.
reaction, just completely missing from the seat she was in seconds earlier. And that's where the story takes a darker turn. According to people online who claim to have been familiar with the fair in 2008, the figure seen in the footage may not just have been another rider. Some believe she was a girl who passed away on one of the rides. I
Yup.
don't remember exactly, but I do remember that it was during the time when the FNAP was being renovated. The news spread quickly that a girl had died on one of the rides. Could it be her? Because
A
she
lot of
really
people die on
disappeared.
rides too.
Another user
It's
added,
just sad.
I was in contact with people close to the accident, but Atracciones Garcia kept everything quiet. There were reports, but nothing ever aired. From what I was told, they paid all the treatments of the injured. While there's no confirmed record of a fatal accident at the fair that matches the story, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Incidents like this have happened before, and in some cases, companies have been known to keep them from reaching the public. Of course, there are more realistic explanations. The girl seen in the footage could have simply shifted her seats or moved out of frame in a way that made her appear to vanish. And since the original source of the video is unknown, there's no way to verify if that girl was actually there. But that doesn't explain why so many people believe otherwise. And without any confirmation from the person who
That's
recorded
crazy,
it,
bro.
what was captured at the fair in 2008 will likely remain a mystery.
It's probably like a lost spirit.
On April 13th, 2017, a man named Victor Gutierrez submitted a disturbing video to Mexican news sites. Along with it, he included a short message. A workmate who lives in Monterrey said that his family recorded it, and they believe that this is a witch. But the footage Victor was referring to was far stranger than that description suggested.
That's fucking crazy. Oh, what the fuck? What the
The
fuck?
clip shows what appears to be a glowing ball of fire, vaguely shaped like a person, rising slowly from the ground into
Yeah,
the
that's
night
crazy.
sky. It drifts upwards for a few seconds, and just as it fades, the video rapidly cuts
Imagine
to
seeing
black.
that shit, just a
Several
big
Mexican news
fireball.
outlets
Like, what
picked
the
up the
fuck?
story, but
That'd be some crazy
despite
ass
the
shit.
attention, none of them were able to reach a clear conclusion about what was actually captured that night.
But who knows? In
the
other
deeper you
like
look into similar
countries or
reports,
like
the more familiar
you be
this
seeing
footage
like
starts to
especially
feel.
Mexico and
Across
shit. Like you
Hispanic
hear stories
forums,
and
there
shit.
are
You see
countless
shit.
accounts describing nearly identical sightings throughout Latin America.
There's a
Many
lot of
believe
videos
that
too
what
on
was
that shit. Like
recorded is connected
scary
to a
shit.
well-known phenomenon tied to regional folklore. Brujas. In Mexican folklore,
Oh yeah, the
witches,
brujas,
also
witches.
known as brujas, are said to transform into fireballs. According to these legends, this form
I never
allows
knew
them to
that. That's
travel
crazy.
quickly through the nights, hunt, or carry out acts of heinous intent. These sightings are almost always reported after dark, often leaving witnesses with a deep sense of fear. Of course, there are more grounded explanations. It's possible the fire was nothing more than burning debris, maybe a piece of paper or material that lifted into the air as it burned.
But we don't
There's
see that
also the
happen though. So how can
possibility
that be a
Victor
paper?
staged
Like
the video himself, especially
yeah,
considering
like if
he
you
was
think
the
of
one
it,
who sent it
like
directly to news outlets. But both
like
explanations
we see
leave
shit
one
on fire.
problem.
Like you know
Reports
everybody
of
sees shit on
similar
fire, but not like
fireballs
that.
don't
Like
just exist in
rising up
one
in the air and
place
shit,
or one
floating up in
video.
the air.
They appear across multiple countries, told by people who have no connection to each other, all describing the same thing. Glowing figures rising into the sky before vanishing without a trace.
That's just
Whatever
crazy.
the case, the footage is unsettling, and it perfectly encapsulates one of the most disturbing phenomena in Latin America.
Yup.
On June 11th, 2008, a video titled Paranormal Duende on the Bridge was uploaded to YouTube. The clip is only 48 seconds long, and at first it seems completely harmless. It shows a group of kids on a bridge, apparently setting up for a simple video. One of the boys places the camera down and walks over to join the others, seemingly getting ready to start recording. But what they captured instead would turn that short clip into one of the most disturbing pieces of footage ever discussed on the Hispanic internet.
Ya está, lo voy a dejar en solo. Ya está grabando.
Oh boy got that pixel phone.
No mames, vamos. Vamos, a ver. Cállate. Ya, no manches, vente. Espérate, ya, lo metí. No mames, espérate. Se ve algo allá.
That's just a portal, maybe. Oh, what the fuck?
A low, unsettling humming is heard, and a dark figure suddenly runs past the end of the tunnel. Then, the video abruptly ends. For the past 17 years, this footage has been considered by many to be one of the most convincing videos ever set to capture a duende. For those unfamiliar with the term, a duende is a small human-like entity found throughout Spanish and Latin American folklore, often described as something resembling a gnome or goblin. In many legends, duendes are portrayed as mischievous tricksters.
Now I'm be honest and shit. Like I remember when I went to visit my dad back in when I was like a kid and shit. I was like probably like 12. It was when Michael Jackson passed away.
Across his
so like 09 and shit. I remember shit because I remember it was like the third. Yeah, I remember that shit. Anyways,
big figures, quick movements.
I don't know if it was and shit, but one of those things ran by me and shit before, dog. Like I swear it was one of those shits before, dog. Like my grandma used to live on a farm and shit. My dad used to stay over there. We used to go visit and shit.
Other alleged duende sightings across Latin America.
I could be tripping though. Unless it was a dog and shit, but yeah, I remember we saw. Yeah, bro. Remember we saw something. We're like, what the fuck?
Considering how popular duende sightings
we were like going inside and shit,
but this
but
video was uploaded, it would not have been difficult to set up.
Unless I was seeing
There is
shit,
another
but I was like a
possibility.
kid and shit.
It could have been a person who was caught on camera unexpectedly, but if that is what this was, the figure's behavior makes the footage even more unsettling. It stays low, moves quickly, and runs past in a way that almost feels intentional, as if it was trying not to be seen. But even that explanation leaves one detail unanswered: the humming. Unfortunately, the kids in the video never gave a follow-up on what happened that day, and the account that uploaded the footage has now been inactive for more than 15 years. So, whatever was captured on that bridge in June of 2008, the truth behind it may never be known.
Just standing by there, that shit looks scary, bro. Like rocks will fall on you right there.
There isn't a more well-known legend than that of La Llorona. You see, La Llorona is a woman in Mexican and Latin American folklore whose crying wails are said to lure both adults and children to their ultimately deaths. For years, long before the age of technology, this story was passed down through word of mouth with no real
That'd be scary to see someone crying at night.
That began to change.
In the street.
As cameras became more accessible, people started claiming they were capturing this disturbing phenomenon for themselves and uploading online. On June 12, 2022, a man named Carlos, a soldier in the Mexican military, posted a disturbing video to TikTok. The clip shows him recording a dark, empty field somewhere in Mexico. For someone like Carlos, this wasn't unusual. As a soldier, he was used to being in isolated areas like this, often in complete darkness. However, nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to encounter.
Ya le puse de grabar a ver si se escucha, güey, porque no mames, si se escuchó bien culerísimo, güey. Sí, güey. No mames, no te pases, güey. No te pases. No se ve ni madres, güey. A ver, deja ver. A ver, alumbra. Esas son las vacas, güey. Hasta las vacas empezaron a hacer ruidos, güey. No se ve nadie. No se ve nadie, güey. No te pases, güey.
In the distance, deep within the darkness of the fields, a faint sound can be heard, a woman crying and wailing. Then, the video abruptly ends. Not long after it was posted, Carlos's video began to go viral, quickly becoming one of the most talked about examples of La Llorona supposedly caught on camera. While it's unclear exactly where Carlos was at the time of
It kind
recording,
of, I don't know.
it's unusual for anyone,
It sounds
especially
weird.
a woman, to be out in the middle of a dark, isolated field crying out like that in the middle of the night. Not to mention, Carlos
Yeah,
wasn't
for
known
real.
for posting paranormal content. In fact, based on the footage, he appears to have been on duty. Another person in the video can be seen wearing military gear as well, making it far less likely that this was some kind of stage clip. But even with that
Yeah.
in mind, there's no clear explanation for what was heard that night.
That shit probably was her.
It was around 9 p.m. on a night in 2019 when a family living in Colombia began hearing strange noises coming from their kitchen. Not
Oh,
just
hell
random
no.
sounds, but a low murmuring mixed with something that sounded almost like a cat. The homeowner Doña Blanca went to check what it was, but when she tried to open the kitchen door, something on the other side pushed back. She tried again, and then a third time, but whatever was inside refused to let the door open. Thinking it was an animal, she called her 3 children to help force open it, and what they found inside was far stranger than anyone expected. The following images were taken at the scene. It was a woman, but according to Doña Blanca, something about her wasn't right. Her expression was completely frozen, locked into an intense, almost unnatural stare. And as she sat there, she continued making the same sounds. Noises that, according to the family, sounded exactly like a cat. Her hands were also covered in thick black mud, but it didn't match anything found outside the home. When Doña tried
Oh,
speaking to
hell no,
her,
bro.
the woman gave a strange explanation. She claimed she had just gotten off a bus, but at that hour, no buses were running through the area. Authorities were eventually called, and the woman was taken away to an
Oh, that's
internet cafe
creepy, bro.
nearby. At first, it seemed like a possible medical issue, maybe someone in severe distress. But the situation didn't end there. The next day, employees at the cafe reported that a broom had gone missing and the woman was gone. She was never seen again. According to Doña Blanca's
What the
family,
fuck?
strange things had already been happening in the house in the days leading up to the incident. Objects moving on their own, things
Oh,
shifting
hell
in
no.
ways that didn't make any sense. To them, this wasn't just a random encounter. They believed they came face to face with something paranormal. I couldn't find any records identifying the
demon.
woman, and there are no confirmed reports explaining who she
I would've-
was. Of
I would've
course,
moved
there
that-
are
moved
more
the fuck out of
realistic
there or some shit, I don't know.
possibilities. She could have simply been someone experiencing
not
a
easy.
severe mental episode, confused, disoriented, and in need of help. But even that explanation doesn't account for everything.
That's pretty
and because
crazy.
of that, whatever was found inside that kitchen that night will likely remain a mystery. In January of 2024, a security guard working the night shift at the Plaza of Technology in Monterrey, Mexico began what should have been a routine part of his job. The plaza itself is a massive indoor market filled with dozens of small shops that attract thousands of customers every single day. But once all the stores close, security guards are required to patrol the building, walking through long, dark corridors and checking for sections to make sure no one has remained inside. While the job can be exhausting and sometimes dangerous, nothing unusual had ever happened before. But on this particular night, that would change. As the guard slowly made his way past rows of closed shops, he suddenly began to hear something coming from deeper inside the plaza.
Oh, hell no.
Ya se cerró la plaza, joven. Buenas noches.
Whoa. Yeah, that's something you don't want to hear.
Buenas noches, ya se cerró.
What the
¿Hay algún
fuck?
niño aquí? Buenas noches.
A child can clearly be heard screaming in distress somewhere inside the building. The sound echoes through the empty halls, but no one's there. Not long after, the guard uploaded the footage online and it quickly went viral, with people trying to figure out what exactly he captured that night. It could have been a child accidentally left behind after closing. Considering
That's
the
sad.
size of the plaza, it's
If-
not out of the
if
question.
that's the case, that's sad
but
right there.
even that theory has problems.
Well, if it's like
a
an
child
entity
is
or
really
whatever
trapped
fuck,
inside, you would
that's
expect them to
scary.
respond when the guard
That's
calls out.
something you don't wanna
Some
hear.
believe the sound wasn't coming from anything physical inside the building at all. According to local rumors, there have been past incidents involving children in crowded public spaces like this. Cases where kids went missing, or in some versions of the story, didn't make it out. While none of this has ever been officially confirmed, some believe that what the guard heard that night wasn't a real child, but a spirit left behind, something that may have happened there years earlier. In my conclusion,
Yep,
since
lost
the
soul.
plaza is filled with electronic stores,
That's
many of which sell
scary.
speakers, televisions, and other audio equipment, it's entirely possible that the sound wasn't coming from a real person at all, but instead from a device left on somewhere inside one of the shops. Unfortunately, the guard never investigated the source of the sounds, and because of that, what was actually heard inside the plaza that night will likely never be explained.
That's scary. Just working your night shift at night, freaking. You hear that? Oh hell no, bro. I'm out, homie. Fuck all that shit. Hey, let me know what you guys want to see, man. I'm out, man. Peace.